Welcome everyone to our popular webinar in supply chain network design. My name is Nhung Nguyen, responsible for product marketing in Popflow Software, and I'm happy to be your host today. I'm very glad to see many people already register for our webinar, and as far as I can see, most of you have already joined on time. I really appreciate that, and I think all of us are ready to start right now. Our webinar today would be on the best practice sharing. We would hear how Austrian Post strategically designed a cost-effective transportation network to address the evolving needs and challenge in the Southeast Europe region, here including Turkey and Bulgaria market. Sharing with us the topics today would be the two experts in network design area, Jonathan Schiller and Dominic Jung. So I would like to give the stage now to Jonathan and Dominic to let you know more about their background. Jonathan, please.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for giving the chance to give a little introduction regarding our network strategy calculations. My name is Jonathan. I'm responsible in the Austrian Post organization for the Southeastern European and the Turkish region for network designs and strategic network plannings, and also for process improvements in the hubs and warehouses. But today we will mainly focus on the network design, and we are since a while working with 4Flow Vista, and want to give you a little introduction today.
I will continue from my side. Also, very warm welcome. My name is Dominic Jung. I am working as a software consultant with 4Flow Software, and I'm there responsible for the planning software products such as 4Flow Vista, which Jonathan already mentioned, and also really excited to be able to share these insights from those ongoing projects that has been ongoing for a couple of years. And that is from our view, because ÖPAC is a really great example for how these strategic software projects can support and the benefit they bring, for two reasons. One, because Austrian Post is really doing a quite large variety of use cases with the software. So it's quite in a versatile way being used. And secondly, also because this in the last years, this has grown really into a really nice established process for decision making. So supporting decisions with the software, and is really well integrated into the process. So that's really great to see. So very glad to have everybody in the session and to do this. And I would say let's have a look at what we've planned. So this is how we are planning to proceed. We would first speak a bit about the actual business of Austrian Post and why is it so important to have a well-functioning transport network for that. Then next part, the challenges to maintaining and developing this network, which of course Austrian Post faced, but this is likely going to be familiar to someone in the audience. Then we speak a bit, okay, what is now actually 4Flow Vista and how can it help? And then we show that how did that actually happen in the case of Austrian Post. We brought some examples. And then lastly, we would extract some general recommendations and best practices for those in the audience who may be facing similar topics. Right, so that's the plan. For the start, here's an outline of the Austrian Post business, and that's going to be explain why a good network is going to be so important to the company success. Maybe Jonathan, do you want to lead us through on what is the background to these network projects?
Yes, thank you, Dominic. As mentioned before, I'm working for Austrian Post, but actually I'm not having so much to do with the typical post business in Austria. So Austrian Post, since around 20 years, is working in Central and Eastern Europe and also recently in Turkey and Azerbaijan. Working with subsidiaries. They started 20 years ago, in that time in Slovakia, and since that time they became bigger and bigger, either founded own logistic companies in these countries or bought them from the market. And since then there's quite a strong growth all over these countries. What we recently realize, the market is always changing, especially during the COVID season or during the COVID years. The customers are partially changing, so there are many seasonalities during the year, which gives us some challenges. Of course, we always had Christmas, and we still have Christmas as a big peak season. But recently, probably all of you know of everyone who is doing online shopping frequently knows seasons like Double 11, Black Friday, the Chinese New Year, Spring Festival, and more and more other events that the e-commerce market is trying to let's say push. Then also from the customer perspective, what are the typical customers? Probably all of you would know them from personal online shopping experience. So there can be big e-commerce shops, but also smaller retail customers or regional retail customers that are working with shops in the cities, but also working with online shops. Yes, and during the last years, especially during the COVID time, we had a very strong growth. Probably all of you made their own experience. You probably 10 years ago, you were not ordering so many parcels online than you are doing nowadays. So we faced that comfortable situation in Southeastern Europe, and now we have already many colleagues all over these countries. And last year we had around 275 million parcels all over Southeastern Europe and also in Turkey.
Right. So sounds like, in a nutshell, sounds like a good position to be in. Very strong, growing business, good outlook. But at the same time, that in itself is a challenge. So, meaning growing the network to sort of like keep pace with that growth, and also at the same time not growing in any manner, but in a way that stays profitable. So that's how I would outline it. When we see that as the background for what's happening, then let's next speak about the typical challenges which happen in this network. So I think the visualization is already a bit that there is this sort of network planner, network designer team in the middle, and many sort of conflicting forces or conflicting requirements to the side of it. Maybe would you want to explain to us what is it that you're regularly dealing with, and which are the challenges that you need to fulfill?
Yes, thanks, Dominic. Yeah, exactly. We have quite many, let's say, challenges we have to handle. So on one side, of course, the most important is to make our clients satisfied, because they have a clear expectation. They pay for the delivery fee, and they pay for our job basically. So there's a high expectation regarding quality and also flexibility. And they are very, let's say, very big cost companies partially. So they have clear expectations to the quality. Also, the consignees in the end, the receivers, everyone expect fast parcel delivery. Probably all of you know this experience, waiting for parcels, or you are expecting a parcel and then it doesn't come on that day, or you receive the information, it is there, but it is not there actually. So there are many expectations from the market, from the customer side. There's also some kind of pressure because no one wants to pay a delivery fee, or there's a high cost pressure. And we made the experience, especially big companies who are having 100,000 parcels per day. For them, every cent is important. So what we feel, if the competitors are a few cents cheaper per parcel, then the customers switch their volume to the competition. So that's a very challenging market to deliver the perfect quality for the lowest price in the end. And other challenges, or we always try to solve this conflict with new innovations. So some new innovations now on the market is we always call it out of home in our let's say logistics field, which include services that are not going to the home door. These services are going to parcel shops, for example, or parcel lockers, or other options to hand over a parcel to the receiver. So there are many innovations we are using. There can be much more, but I will not jump into these details now. Yeah, so there we can see there are quite many challenges, and for this we need the perfect network to handle all of these challenges. And yeah, that's why we are using Vista from 4flow.
Mm-hmm. Great. So as a picture, maybe my sense was always speaking about these topics was that's a bit like a balancing act between those points you mentioned, that it's like this large costs sensitivity, this large cost pressure, but at the same time the service expectation and the quality requirement. So keeping both in a balance. Yeah, that seems to be quite at the heart of all the use cases, which we're gonna see in just a second. With that in mind, I mean, let's now answer what is now actually this 4flow Vista software, which we mentioned, which already started speaking about, and yeah, how does it actually help with these topics? So what is it? It's a network design software for entire end-to-end supply chains. Has been in use at customers such as Austrian Post and many different other industries for many years. Focus is clearly the transport network side of the supply chain, and yeah, the best picture to describe it is like a toolbox, like a versatile toolbox for anyone who is like Jonathan in the situation to that they need to provide answers or support decisions about the network and the best way forward. So this we support with this toolbox. How exactly does that work? How exactly does it help? So usually the first step is always to get the transparency on the network. So on the question, what is actually currently ongoing in the network? Maybe where are the weak points? So visualizing it, evaluating with KPIs, either physically on network level, the flows and the article assignments. That's like really in detailed the whole network, and then also on financial level. That is usually the first point to start seeing what is the current situation. Then usually we always have some kind of ideas already of what might we change. What if we, let's say, we open a new hub, or what if we close a hub? What if we lower the frequency? These kind of questions. Then the question is, what if we do that? What happens? And for that reason, the software does that with scenarios. that can then be evaluated to provide answers. And then, of course, the logical question is usually then how should it be? What is the optimal solution? And that is answered with mathematical optimization methods. So some menus and functionalities which help the planner arrive at a decision and some ideal state for the network. And that can be either on a really large level, so 30,000 foot view, the whole network, or it can be down to really the nitty-gritty in the network. What should be the frequency on lane level, and what is the ideal tour sequence of stops and so on. So these mathematical tools in the toolbox, they are quite essentially for all common supply chain transport use cases. There is some way of doing it with the optimization. All right, that should be enough for the software as an outline. Then looking at some examples of where this happened with the case of Austrian Post. So we brought here two examples of two different country markets where this was used and that were analyzed with Forflow Vista. Maybe Jonathan, I think when we selected this, there was some reasoning behind that. Can you explain a bit better why exactly those two markets?
Yes, so in general, we are trying to question the network in each country every 2 to 3 years. So this is frequent planning. What we brought here is from two of our projects we had recently, one from Turkey, one from Bulgaria, because the one we have from Turkey is on a very high level. There we are really on the central hub level. So hubs that we are talking about the big sorting centers where we are sorting the parcels and with big sorting machines and so on. And then the Bulgarian market, especially this dedicated project was on a, let's say, very small detailed level where we are talking about these out-of-home locations I mentioned before. Where we are talking about parcel shops, locations for parcel lockers, and so on. So there we are talking about probably hundreds of locations distributed all over the country. While when we are talking about the hub project we had in Turkey, we are talking about 20, 30 locations all over the country. So this is, So when we are talking about the project we had in Turkey recently, so there we have a quite big network from all our countries. This is the biggest network with high volume. So we always have quite high investments decisions in the end. When talking about changing the hub network, that always means we are talking about big investments for the buildings, for the plots, for the sorting machines. Probably some people from the audience, they know about what kind of investment amounts we are talking there. So this is something which need to be analyzed in advance, quite detailed. And what we are doing there is to simulate different scenarios. So there we are working with the Vista tool, work with historical data we put into the tool, and based on this, we are frequently doing the network analysis. This we are doing either frequently or also probably you heard it last year. There was the big earthquake in Turkey in the beginning of the year, which actually changed for half of the country the whole volume situation. So people were moving outside from the big cities, going again more to the countryside regions. So that showed us we have to adapt our network because the volume is not there anymore where it was before. So there we had to do some quick reaction and to adapt our network. And also for this we used Vista then in the end. And on the Bulgarian market, what we have there, the project is also we use historical data to define the optimal locations for parcel shops, for parcel lockers. which is now, let's say, like a guideline for us how to develop and how to increase the out-of-home network. Mhm.
Right. So in summary, yeah, separate situations, one very established, one very new, and yeah, variety of use cases that that come up. Great. So to look at that, on this slide here, we have one example, which is from the Turkey market, to paint a picture of how this actually goes step by step. So on the top, the example, and on the bottom, the process which is in use on Austrian Post side. Can you say a couple words on how this, what this is, this use case, and how these typical steps happen?
Yeah, so normally how we always start, at least when we are talking about the projects, about the hub level projects in Turkey, we always start with the, let's say, with a greenfield analysis. So what we are doing, we are uploading historical data, then use one of the analysis function in Vista, and then we will receive, let's say, a suggestion for optimal greenfield location, hub locations. And then this we are, let's say, overlaying over the map of the existing hub locations we have nowadays. And then the outcome of this first initial calculation we always do in the beginning of every project is this what we see on the map here on the left side. So there we see it's a quite simple task. If there's if the greenfield location is next to or very close to existing location, we put a green circle. If there's a greenfield, an optimal greenfield location popping up somewhere new where we currently don't have anything, then we have a yellow circle. And if there's not any greenfield location suggested where we currently have an existing location, then we put a red circle. And this, sometimes it can happen that we are with the operations responsible colleagues then sitting together for a whole day and standing whole day in front of a map and discussing different scenarios, discuss what was realistic and where probably anyway some changes or some rental contracts expire, for example, or where we are running out of capacity. And then based on this, we are defining regions, we call it focus regions, where we go into a deeper analysis, where we define scenarios where we want to make a calculation. And in these scenarios and in these calculations, of course, then we are comparing all cost details. We are calculating the transportation costs, we are calculating the hub location costs, the hub operation costs, and investment costs and so on. So then we put everything onto the table, compare this, and based on this, in the end, we will, let's say, give a decision help to the board, to the high level management, and are ready to go the next steps. Yeah, this is our process we are frequently doing with Vista in here.
Right. Yeah, and thank you, Jonathan. And this is, as said, this is really great to see how well this is established and how regularly it supports the decisions on Austrian Post, and how how well it integrates the input from all the relevant stakeholders to this. So especially these operational workshops, which Jonathan mentioned, where the sort of leaders on the ground can really provide their input on what is the best way forward and the best scenario. That seems really effective in getting Austrian Post the best results. Great. So with the time in mind, we extracted a couple just brief takeaways and recommendations. for those who are in similar situation, who will need to maybe make smaller or larger decisions in their network. Like Jonathan said, it's always good to first start with an overview, just not the final last level of detail, just a sufficient level of as-is analysis, what is actually happening, visualizing it, and then from that point very quickly going into scenarios. Also not yet in the last detail, just to analyze the most relevant or promising alternatives for action. So what could we do in the network? What have we always thought about changing? Simulating that in with 80-20 rule, simulating the impact of that, and deciding, okay, where do we see the most potential, and which actions should we then go further and drill down. And this drill down phase is then where we include further detail and include the feedback from the relevant stakeholders, such as the operations, and really go down into the detail of what would it mean to take this action, like, for example, adding another hub or whatever. And this evaluating that 360 degrees on like financial and flows, and then with that providing that as a decision basis for the higher management, who can then really have clarity on what is the best way forward. And of course, that especially if that is such a established process and repeatable process where this is something regular, then of course that is very likely to have good success. Great. And with that in mind, we would like to thank you for attending this webinar. Thank you for your interest. And of course, if there are any questions from the audience, we are very glad to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Jonathan and Dominic for very interesting sharing and giving us a deep dive into network design tips here, and the benefit, of course, in on what you have achieved from the use of Flow Vista software for your project. I think we are perfectly on time. 1 minute left for the questions, but of course, please take your time to write any question that you still have in mind. If we don't have time to answer them now, we are willing to get in touch with you individually to answer your question by email. In the meantime, we have also switched to the contact slide here that gives you the chance to note down the contact info of our speakers. And if you would like to know more about software or best practice that Flow can share, we also put here the link for you to scan so that you can get further information or get in touch directly with us. So I think maybe 1 minute left, and I already have one question here. So why not answer them before we end our session? I would choose one question only. How was it with Austrian Post before applying for Flow Vista into your practice? So who could answer this question?
Yes, good question, because I always compare, let's say, our situation in CEE, where we are talking about 10 different countries, and every country is an own network, so with different network setups. And the situation in Austrian Post in Austria. So in Austrian Post in Austria, there is even an own team, and they are doing nothing else than preparing they have an own tool, own created tool to make network simulations for the network in Austria. But we to do this for Southeastern Europe and in Turkey for 10 different countries, this is just not possible. We don't have the resources, we don't have the manpower to do this frequently. So that's why for us it is a good help to use one tool which covers all countries, probably not that in detail, but at least it's a good benefit for us that we can calculate the networks in 10 different countries with one tool, and don't need to create an own tool for each country itself. So this gives us a lot of help, and before we did not have it, and that's why at that time the whole decision making of investments and the whole let's say network design was more I don't want to say from a stomach feeling, but we also had some tools before, but it is a different level now, and we are quite confident with making decisions now, definitely. Yeah.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot, Jonathan. So meaning that with the tool now, you could have more time for more decision making step, I would say. Yeah, and that sounds really great. All right, so I think that could be a very nice ending for our webinar here. I would say thank you to both of our speakers and also everyone who have spent time joining with us here. We will send you the record as well, the handout of presentation today. Hope to see you very soon in another session webinar for Flow. Thanks a lot and goodbye.